start with what I sometimes call the first good poem in this book that I published when I was 40, kind of declaring myself a poet. So this one is titled Heretikos. Make me a weed, a wild and restless thing, too burning for a flaming sky to green myself in shade. Make me a weed with roots as thin as sparks, with leaves that dance in summer heat like campfires on a plain. Make me a weed, the strider of the squall, strange tower above rooted grass, an iceberg overturned. Make me a weed, brown and dried by flame, charred and withered from fires within, an ash on earth's hot brow. You know, even writing poems, we get into ruts, right? We start conforming to our own methodology. And so thematically, I tried to take this in a different way. And it's titled Found Things. I stumble from room to room, lost like a young wild boy whose pockets once were stuffed with marbles and frogs, foreign coins and knotted string, a pocket knife and a hollow silver locket, but now has discovered his clothing empty. He searches under the bed, behind bookcases, in the far back reaches of the black closet where he sometimes hides. Nothing. Where could it all have gone? Vanished as strangely and miraculously as it all had come to him. Found things, gifts, and thefts. This has happened too often. So this time, before he takes his papers and paints and throws them to the floor, before he shouts so that everyone in the distant corners of the house come running, this time he stops and imagines a pile of lost things someone else will find. Unasked for treasures, coins from places unheard of, string from kites set free, an empty locket once held close to a heart in love. I wander the rooms of my house now, not searching, not angry, not even hopeful. I am merely ready for the miracle of found things. Falling in love and being willing to go where love pulls you, even if it's outside of regular society. So Hamlet. I'm not thinking about the play, but the poem that Pasternak wrote for Zhivago, that Zhivago wrote for Laura. Depending on the translation, the poem begins in confusion, or applause, or turbulence. But we know something has come to an end. The poet, we know, is listening to echoes of the past for some resounding message from the future. Courage, or wisdom, maybe even hope. He stands alone, talking to God, himself, whoever, more or less like I do, now that you've decided a life with me is not the life for you. It's like a director of some community theater had screwed up and scheduled 2 plays on the same stage. You and I step from our separate scripts into a life not quite of our making, but something at least our own, where old words seemed new, feeling someone listened, not knowing where the action ends. On one point, however, all variations agree. Pharisees rule the day. It seems we can't avoid untranslated terms translated back to us. No matter where or when, unforgiving order frightens desire with solitude. The poem ends with a simple phrase: life is not a walk through a field. But lately, I've strolled far from our suburbs into wild, rich meadows full of the songs of bees. The poppies will shock you. I will wait a while if you should decide to join me. And this is a poem about, finding yourself in your home, but not feeling at home in that home. And then kind of just finding ways to get yourself kicked out or something, or finding ways to move out yourself, to find the courage to move out. So late night, and it's kind of an angry poem. Can we say cuss words in this venue? Yes. Okay. If I get in trouble.
Okay, that'll be me.
Okay, late night. So a man drives around late at night, avoiding all the streets that lead home. He knows the lights are still on, that those who love him are gathered round the table, talking, wondering what could have gone wrong. They don't understand why it takes him so long to return from simple chores. He doesn't understand why, in spite of all the street signs, in spite of all the maps scattered on the seat, he would rather be lost. Sometimes he even rolls down the windows and lets maps fly, tosses out flashlights and matches, and says to himself, let's just see how fucked up things can get. They know this is not the way things should be. He knows this is not the way things should be. But he hopes, searching black streets alone, in the minutes closing on midnight, with the gas running out, he might find a second home with those who know where he's been. Kind of setting myself off against, I guess, Joe Stack, the guy who flew the airplane into the IRS building. Spring. Today the white startle against the sky. Pear blossoms awaken my drive from home to work. It's spring. I remember a well, an orchard of clouds, rain lilies, a stack of branches gathered together, the flesh of fall bundled for a late winter fire. This cool morning, blossoms and blue fire a random synapse, and a forgotten sky resurfaces as real as the gripping flesh on the steering wheel. My mind is a home today for miracles received. God's stack of small beauties, tender to keep us well. But I can't tell you where I saw the well or orchard or wood gathered for the fire, or if. Was it from a book I now stack in a corner for cheap resale, bought at sky-high collector's rates for show at home, or something seen and felt by and with my flesh? It's spring, a dangerous time for the flesh. We're all tempted to stare into the well, recollect one's losses, and fill the home with an emptiness that only fire can cleanse. Desire and shame climb the sky and fall back like debris from a smokestack. Ash, snow, pear blossoms. Across town, Joe Stack decides to abandon the weight of flesh to point his Piper Cherokee into the sky, a full tank of gasoline pumped from his well of hatred toward the unjust rich who fire us little guys and send us packing home, pink slips in pockets. And still at home, the letters and bills from the IRS stack up in a chorus of accusation. Fire, he shouts. Take my pound of flesh and sleep well. Then he tips his wings and falls from the sky. It's spring. I am staring at the cool flesh of pear blossoms, but he sets fire to his home. I remember a wide blue sky. Joe Stack ignites his flesh on impact and says, farewell. This is another backyard poem. Someday, maybe. So this is about living out in the country and other people not living in the country and being snarky about these people who are so proud of their lawns. So if you have one of those neighbors, bring them to mind right now. Listening and knowing where to look. A shame in me says I'm reckless, says I'm a banker with open vaults, because I have these few acres out in the city and do nothing with them except do nothing. Somehow leaving well enough alone betrays a dark contract I was raised to account to. So I look around my friends' yards and speak admiringly of the gas grill, of the enriched rose mixture hauled in, wheelbarrowed and shoveled along the privacy fence, of the cement curbing from Lowe's, and, oh yes, the plastic closet for tools politely placed by the air conditioner behind the trellis. When I do, my friends puff up proudly like jays scattering sparrows at the feeder. When friends visit me, they say nothing of the leaves. Post oak, live oak, cedar elm, the layers of seasons banked against the house, or the height of the wild grass, or the shift in stalk color from copper to gold. No one notices the difference in how the cedar dead 4 years and the cedar dead 2 years resists the wind. If I mention this, their shoulders rise and twitch as if a hawk had passed nearby. They pat their back pockets instinctively, knowing something is being taken from them. Like I say, there's a shame in me that calls me reckless. That shame seldom drops in, and I know not to listen when he speaks.